Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Sarah Abdurrahim, and I'm one of the Associate Directors of Development here at Georgetown University Law Center, Office of Advancement. I'm thrilled that many of you have joined us today for the International Conversation Series with Professor Craig Hoffman. Today's event is part of our 150th anniversary celebrations at Georgetown University Law Center, and it's the fourth and final event in our International Conversations series. If you haven't had the chance already, we hope you will take time to check our 150th anniversary website, share memories, and watch live and on-demand events to celebrate 150 years at Georgetown University Law Center. Before we get started, I wanted to highlight ways you can engage with the conversation today. At any time, feel free to add questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. At around 10:35 a.m., we will move to a Q&A segment. Please continue to write in your questions and they'll be shared with Professor Hoffman and panelists. Today's event will be recorded and posted to our 150th anniversary website. I'm thrilled to be introducing Professor Craig Hoffman. Professor Hoffman is currently the Professor of United States Legal Discourse at the Law Center and is the Director of the Legal English Program. He's a linguist and a lawyer who specializes in transactional writing and negotiations during his years of practice. At Georgetown Law Center, Professor Hoffman focuses on acculturating Georgetown foreign LLM students into the U.S. legal discourse by teaching courses that introduce students to the ways the U.S. lawyers use language to communicate about the law. Hi, Professor Hoffman.
Hi, Sarah.
I wanted to kick off our conversation today by asking you a few questions. Can you tell us about your background and what brought you to Georgetown Law?
Okay, so I was a lawyer practicing law here in Washington. And before I was a lawyer, I was an academic. So I did a PhD in linguistics. I did a postdoc in cognitive science. I went to business school for a little while, didn't like that. And then was a lawyer. And so one of my friends was on the faculty at another law school here in town, not Georgetown, and called me and said, could you come and teach a class in legal writing to our first year JD students? I said, okay, I can do that. So I did that. And it was a wild success. It was great. And I had a really good time. And so the dean over there said to me, you know, Georgetown hires full-time faculty to teach legal writing to their first-year students. I thought, well, that's a good idea. So this was 1993. It was before email, okay? So I actually wrote a letter to the dean at Georgetown, who was in charge of this, and said, I understand that, you know, you have legal writing teachers and I would like to be a legal writing teacher and you should hire me. And I got a letter back saying, well, you know, we do have a position open, but we've done all of the application review and we're interviewing people, so maybe another time. So I thought, no. So I wrote back and I said, no, you don't understand. You really want to hire me. And I explained to them why they wanted to hire me and why it was a good idea for them to hire me. And so I got a letter back and they said, okay, come and talk to us. So I went in and interviewed and of course they hired me. And I've been at Georgetown for 30 years, just about.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And you know, this past year, the 2-year LLM program has celebrated 10 years. Can you talk a little bit about that program and the impact you think it's made, not only on students in the program, but also the wider community at the Law Center?
Yeah, it is sort of an outgrowth of what we do in the LLM program. So I've been teaching LLMs for many years at Georgetown and talking with them, and they said a couple of things to me. The regular 1-year LLMs. They said, it goes really fast.
Yeah.
You show up in September, all of a sudden it's November, then the first semester is over, and then you come back and there's like President's Day and spring break, and then it's over. So they said, it's great, but it goes really fast. The other thing they said to me was, you know, when you're studying in a new country, right, in a language that isn't your first language, you want to take some language classes. We do that as American students when we go abroad. If like somebody does a year in France, you take French classes. I mean, it's just like what you do. And we didn't really have that as part of the LLM. So taking those two things together, I made up a program where you could do the LLM, instead of doing it in 2 semesters, you do it in 4 semesters, but you include language and law and other fun things. So for example, in the 1-year LLM, it's kind of hard. It's really hard because, you want to take the New York bar classes, you want to take a certificate in something, you want to do an externship, it's hard to do all of that in 1 year. You can do it. People do it every year and are wonderfully successful at it. But if you have 4 semesters, it's a little easier to do that. And then here's the cool thing, right? So you go through the first year, you do all your stuff. Then you go in the summer and you do like an internship or you work somewhere, or you just sort of hang out for the summer. And then you come back and you see all your friends. That's kind of cool. And then you meet new friends. So I just thought the 2-year way of doing the LLM as an alternative is a nice way for some people to do it. And I got to tell you, you can't do it. I couldn't do this without the support of the administration. And at the time when I made this up, Wendy Perdue was the associate dean, and she was really supportive, and she just said, just do that and I'll help you. Now, Bill Trainer has been amazing in supporting this program. And our current associate dean, Madhavi Sundar, could not be better. She totally understands what we're doing and has been great and supportive. Other schools have tried to do this, but they just haven't been able to pull it off because we have thought it through so well. So the 2-year program is actually one of my contributions to legal education. And I think it's a great idea. And we have some of our alumni here today.
Wonderful. The welcome dinners at your home are often cited by alumni that we meet as one of the highlights of their time at the Law Center. How did these dinners start, and do you have any personal highlights from them?
Well, yeah. I mean, when we bought this house, we bought it pretty much to have parties. That's what this house is for. And there are no better guests than Georgetown LLMs, right? You just invite Georgetown LLMs and it's a party. And so we've been doing them, throughout my career. My favorite thing now is, again, it has something to do with the 2-year program, but so we do this party in the fall. I mean, we did before pandemic hit, but we do this party in the fall, and it's the returning 2-year students and the new 2-year students. And that's been a fun party because then you get to meet new people. But mostly, and now we have parties and people who are here in Washington can come. And anytime I have any sort of LLM party, all of you guys who are here in Washington are invited.
And similarly, I've heard about your dinner parties internationally. And can you share with us what cities you've held dinner parties at, and what's most enjoyable for you about bringing the alumni together?
So the administration, they're not fools, and they know that I travel a lot. And so they don't have to pay for my travel, and I just show up in these cities and we have parties, and it's been great. And so I made a little list here because I forget. So I can do it by America. So like Western Hemisphere. I've done these parties in Lima and Sao Paulo and Buenos Aires. Luciano, if you're out there, we had this fantastic party in Sao Paulo at the Pisano in Sao Paulo. And that was one of my favorite parties. And I met a lot of people who came there. In Europe, we've done them in London, in Paris, in Madrid, in Ankara. I mean, I love Ankara, but I would like to do it in Istanbul because it's Istanbul, right? So why wouldn't you want to do one in Istanbul? So I would like to do that. We've done them in Doha at the Georgetown campus. I've met with alumni in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai. My friends in Riyadh, okay, let's do a Riyadh party, maybe Jeddah, okay, something. And then I had the opportunity to teach for a class at Tel Aviv University. And we did a wonderful alumni party in Tel Aviv. That was great. So I'd like to do that again as well. And also in Hong Kong, in Beijing. I'm looking forward to doing one maybe in Bangkok. And it's kind of embarrassing at this age. I've never been to Shanghai. I would love to go to Shanghai. So maybe we'll do a party in Shanghai. They're always fun because people meet each other, and then after the parties, they become friends. And that's the whole point.
I think we have some of the alumni from all over the globe actually joining us here today.
Yeah, which is great. So is it time?
Yes.
Okay, this is like totally great, you guys. So I've invited some of our alums to join me here. And if we do these in the future, maybe you can do this. But I'm very, very excited because they are a cross-section of various programs that we have at the law school. So let me start. I'm going to sort of talk with each of them, and then you can chime in if you want to. But we have 1-year LLMs and 2-year LLMs, and SJD students. So I'm just sort of interested in seeing what they can add to this conversation. So let me start with Koke and Anna. And all of you out there know who they are because everyone knows who they are. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you both decided to come to Georgetown and what that meant to you? And then tell us about some new news you might have.
Sure. Hi, everyone. We're very, very happy to be here. Georgetown's super special for us. So we're very excited. I decided to come to Georgetown actually because I was in a double degree with Sciences Po University in Paris. So as part of the double degree, the second year of the master's is an LM at Georgetown. So when I applied, I knew I'd be going to Georgetown in the second year of the program. And that was just an incredible opportunity. And that's how I ended up at Georgetown. What else? I met my husband at Georgetown. So that was great. And Georgetown just has meant so much to me personally and professionally. We've made so many friends, friends that we still have today. We've gone to a lot of LM weddings. And just the fact that I met my husband at Georgetown and we now have a growing family. We just had a baby a month ago. It's just very special to us, for me as well. What else?
Okay.
So I went to Georgetown. My brother had pursued his LLM back in 2009, and he was talking constantly about these crazy two professors at the Georgetown University called Craig, and he never remembered the name of the other one because Craig is the star, and he brought us all here. So I decided that I wanted to be a Hoya too. And particularly, I chose Georgetown because back in the day, Georgetown was only one of the only universities which was offering a certificate in arbitration. And that, being a first mover on that, I thought that would give me a competitive advantage to pursue my career in the US, because I was trying to transition from a civil law country to a common law country. And to do that, I thought I needed more. So I pursued that certificate, which proved to be really useful, because after that, I landed a job at a law firm, and 7 years from there, I'm still here.
Right.
And what it has meant, as Anna said, it has meant many things, both from a personal and from a professional perspective. From a personal, I made amazing friends. I met my wife. We now have a daughter. I'm sharing a panel with not only my wife, but with like really good friends. Craig is not only a neighbor, he's one of our closest friends in DC. It's been 7 years we know him, and he's still very close. Ramzan, who I hadn't seen in a while, to be honest, but it was just fantastic to see you today. And I see, for instance, in the crowd, we have Lulua from Lebanon, who is also a very close friend. She was in our wedding, for instance, and we look forward to more LLM weddings.
So this is kind of interesting. So, Antonio, Koke's brother, was the last person we saw before the pandemic hit in New York. We had our last normal restaurant meal with Antonio in New York.
Great.
And the whole
Let
city shut
me
down.
stop you there. If it's with you, it's not a normal dinner. Where
Well,
was
it was at Le
Share with us
Bernardin.
the details, please.
It was at Le Bernardin. That's true. It was
Ah.
not it was not normal, but it was great. But that's, one of the memories is that Antonio is the last person we shared a meal with in New York.
You're in good company.
So hang on, you guys. Let me move to Patricia. Patricia, if you can come on.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love about the LLM program is that people come like Koki and Anna, and they're like sophisticated, lovely international superstars when they arrive. And Patricia was like that. She arrived, she'd been to this law firm in Brazil, she was lovely and glamorous, and everything was great. And she wrote a paper for me for one of my classes, and I was reading it, and I thought, I wish I had written this. So one of the things I love about Georgetown is that I am a teacher, and I'm supposed to be teaching people, but I see amazing students every year. So Patricia, tell us, how did you get to Georgetown?
So I graduated from law school in São Paulo, Brazil in 1991. After that, I always wanted to go to Georgetown and to do an LLM program, but then life happened. And I started working, I got married, I had 3 kids. And then when my kids were my oldest was in high school, she said, I want to go to college in the US. And then, I said, why not? I deserve that. So I decided to come with my 3 kids. I was divorced by then. And then I did it. So I found out this 2-year program, and it was the best thing I've ever done.
Great. No, it is. It's nice to have that time.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that you did that.
And of course, I was out of my element. I was like probably the oldest person in your program, but it made me realize that I could be friends with the professors and also the students, and it was great. I recommend it.
Well, I'm so happy that you could join us today. Let me move on because I'm going to run out of time. So, Wissam, what is that background you have?
Yes, I thought, seeing you, I'll be over the moon. So, so I decided that's the closest background to what I'm thinking now.
Well, that's great. Wissam, of course, like Patricia, was like this international superstar when he arrived, and he's like from Lebanon. He speaks fluent French and English and Arabic, and he's been everywhere and he's done everything. And so tell us, why did you come to Georgetown and what did it mean to you?
Yeah, actually, so I was looking for, top tier university in the US to do international law, and I've researched it. And Georgetown was recommended to be like the best law school for international legal studies. And it's based in DC, very close to the capital. So I applied there and I got accepted. So, and I was really thrilled about that. And then when I joined, it was exactly the experience that I was looking forward to. I met you and you taught me actually the best legal writing skills that I use now as a practicing lawyer. I also met my wife at Georgetown, similar to Anna and Jose, and
Alexandra, yay!
She just showed up from outer space, and yeah, I have amazing experience, and it was great. And what I remember vividly, Craig, is your wine cellar. So I will never forget that. So one of the best I've seen so far.
So it's kind of fun. I've been to Dubai a couple of times, and I always see Wissam and Alexandra when I go to Dubai. It's like a must-do in Dubai. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. We've had great times in Dubai, and I want to do more of that. But thank you so much for coming. I know you're really busy. You're a really important partner at a law firm, but hang on as long as you can and stay with us if you can.
No, it's my pleasure. It's great to see you.
Okay, so I want to move to Yi Song. Where's Yi Song? Yi Song was an LLM, a one-year LLM, graduated like 12 years ago, and is now my co-teacher. And we teach together every week a course that is now called US Legal Research Analysis and Writing. You guys remember it as USLD. It's that class. But it's been so much fun to teach with Yi Song. So Yi, why don't you tell us how you came to Georgetown and what that means to you?
Hi, Professor Hoffman. Hello, everybody. So I was born and raised in Beijing, China. And before I came to Georgetown for law school, I attended Georgetown University as an exchange student 14 years ago to study political economy, and where I met my husband. And now our baby boy is 2 years old. We just moved back to DC. We're so happy to be reconnected to the Georgetown community again. And before I applied to Georgetown Law School, I attended a seminar at an event in Beijing given by Professor James Feinerman. So I understand that Georgetown has a leading program in Asian law, and now it is Georgetown Center for Asian Law. So I wanted to study with those leading Asian law scholars, and that's why I applied.
Nice. Yeah, so we're having a great time. And I have got some ideas about how the rest of you could help me teach, because I really want to bring LLMs back. And so we'll talk about that later. But now I want to get down to my favorite part of this, which is Ramzan and Wahab. So Ramzan and Wahab were both in the 2-year program. And unlike Patricia and Koke and Anna and Yi Song, they were not as international superstars when they arrived. They were young, and they had not spent much time, I don't think, out of Kuwait and Bahrain, respectively, until they came to Georgetown. And they simply grew up at Georgetown. And I watched them become international scholar superstars. And it's been really one of the greatest things in my life to watch the two of them. So Wahab, why don't you start? Why did you come to Georgetown?
It's a very interesting question. And I think Georgetown has been always my top choice. But as a student, as a lawyer back then, I wanted to continue my graduate studies. And I was asking myself, what are the factors for me to choose which school I should go to? And there are like different factors that you should, or each student have to think about before applying to any school. But for me, it was like the variety of courses, like how many courses the school offers. And I think Georgetown offers like a great, broad and deep courses. And sometimes like it's like very overwhelming. You feel like there are so many classes you want to attend, and like you have to choose. You have to have like priorities. The second thing was like the faculty. The faculty is so impressive. It's like a group of scholars, practitioners, policymakers in Georgetown. So they write the laws and they interpret them and they enforce them. Like they're top officials in the agencies in DC, or court judges, lawyers, head of NGOs. So like the faculty is so impressive. On top of that is like the location. So Georgetown is like in Washington, DC. And I still remember, Craig, one day, like you asked me about how many states I've been to in the US. So I told you like I was to the East Coast, the West Coast. And then what about the country, the states that are in the middle? So I was like, you were like, no, it's just like a flyover state, so you shouldn't bother yourself.
Oh, don't say that.
So Georgetown is located like in the heart of the nation's capital. So you can just see like the capital is like across the street, the Supreme Court. So you're in the middle of the place where laws are made. So it's very important for law students, international law students, to know where they should apply.
But also, all that is important. Yes, all that is very important. But did you have fun
I had so much fun. But on top of that, the diversity of the class, it's just a global school. Georgetown, you have like students from 70 countries around the world. You have a network, like once you graduate from Georgetown, you have a network like from many countries, like your friends from all over the world. Wherever you go, wherever you travel, you have a friend somewhere there. They can help you, they can always be there for you. And the great thing, the amazing thing that we had from Georgetown, like after 10 years of graduating from the LLM class, we're still engaged with our professors, we're still engaged with our classmates. So it's just amazing.
So Ramzan, how about you? How did you get to Georgetown? I remember when Ramzan arrived at Georgetown, he was this, young boy. I thought, this kid is really smart. I thought, okay, good. I've got one here. This one is really smart. And, sure enough, he went through the Tier LLM program and stayed for the SJD. And Ramzan and Wahab both did. Wahab's SJD dissertation is just a thing of beauty. It is a model we use now for other SJD students. It was professional. It was about minority shareholder rights. It was very specific and very nice. Ramzan, his dissertation was just like, whoa. It was just like theoretically way out of, it was much more scholarly and ambitious, and again, a true tour de force. So Ramzan, tell us about how you got to Georgetown and what it's meant to you.
So I graduated from the University of Bahrain with actually the goal of writing something that would add to the scholarship. So I had like a very big ambition since I graduated from Bahrain Law School. And I had back then a fairly good resume, the scores and all the activities that needed to get into a top school. But I thought that among all the top schools, no one offers the same program that Georgetown offers in the 2 years program. Some sort of an introduction and a transition year from a civil law country. I studied all my legal studies in Arabic. So that transition period was necessary for me, especially that I really wanted to do it well. Like I wanted to prepare myself in the LLM years to actually apply successfully to the SJD program and accomplish it, and write the piece that I really always dreamt to write in the SJD program. And again, my supervisor was Professor Hoffman, which really I think facilitated that, and I'm proud of what I did. And actually, like my favorite memory is the day of when I defended my presentation. It was very beautiful. I still remember it, and it's a profound moment in my life. So I think it is really the 2 years program that attracted me in the first place. Of course, I wanted to get into a law school from the top schools, the T14, and the location, especially that I'm interested in constitutional law, and DC is the perfect place to just be in if you are interested in constitutional law, and because whether you're interested in the constitutional systems within the US or just the conversation of all the think tanks and the NGOs that are there in DC, interested in governance and good governance in the world. So that was really like the perfect place for me.
And in addition to all of that, which all of which is true, and if any of you wants an intellectual delight and challenge, I suggest that you read Ramzan's dissertation, which was amazingly well done. In addition to all of that, I think you had some fun while you were at Georgetown as well. Isn't that true?
I did. I really did, actually. But again, I think now that I'm wiser, I don't know how I would classify some of the information, I guess. a lot of it was really due to the fact that it was a very diverse group. So the fun really was in every week there will be an occasion. It's a birthday or it's and then you're gonna run into people that you share with them similar views, but you also have so much differences with them, which really is, it's fun. Like it's fun. I mean, it's social events that is aimed to be fun, but really it enriches you in so many ways because you get to know people in deeper way and expand your horizons. Yeah. And like meet them in a more casual way that, you know, escapes all the barriers between you and someone that shares with you like basic human, you know, values, but also different values that are because of differences in culture. So right. It was very enriching actually, even the social activities.
So Sarah, how are we doing?
You're doing great on time. We have a number of questions that have come in, so it's really up to you if you want me to start reading those now.
Yeah, go. Are you guys fine? Can you hang for this? Wissam? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we've gotten some questions in. The first one is for alumni. What would you, can the alumni talk about opportunities they wish they would have done while they were at the Law Center? Anything you feel like you missed out on taking advantage of?
Ramzan.
For me, I think what I missed, which I really want, if time goes back, I would do is the externship. Any kind of internship while in DC would be very useful.
I'll take that one. Start as soon as possible your job hunting. Because you get there and it's June, July, and you're having fun. And then suddenly it's December and you haven't called anyone. You've had no coffees with anyone. And you're like, okay, the job fair is in January. And this is about to end. And in May, I'm flying back home. So start as soon as possible. That would be my something I would have done different. But the partying was great.
Right.
And so one thing I would have done at Georgetown is that going to a hearing or oral argument at the Supreme Court, because you know the LLM programs are 1 year and it's very short, and you're stressed out about the exam and taking the bar exam and the job hunt. So there's really a lot of attractions in DC itself, you know, the best city in the country in my view, to do things. Supreme Court is just a few blocks away. And it is such a profound experience. So I did get a chance to get back to DC 5 years after I graduated. So I visit all the museums, you know, all the museums are free. And I went back to the Supreme Court to attend an oral argument. So that was great.
Yes, actually, I was going to say the same thing. Like I attended one Supreme Court hearing. And it was great. I remember I woke up like at 4 a.m. in the morning to go and stand in line so I can reserve a place to go in. So one thing that I would have done more is attend more of these hearings. I know it sounds geeky, but I really liked the one I attended.
Yeah.
Okay, that is nice, you guys. Also, another question is asking about the health of the LLM program during COVID. So.
Yeah, I'll do that because I'm here. Okay, so like this Zoom thing, I was so petrified, right? Because I'm old, and it's hard to learn new things. But all of our faculty have been really engaged, and we've just tried as hard as we can. And I totally redid all of my classes so that they are good, I think, online. It's a different way to be. It's like this, right? It's not the same as being in school. But you know, if you work hard, and fortunately, all of our students are fantastic, and it's turned out to be. I've learned some great stuff that I'm going to keep when we're back in class. So I think we've made it through this really well. Again, a lot of the credit goes to Dean Triner and Associate Dean Madhavi Sundar, who have done a fantastic job keeping these together. But I think it's going well, and I'm looking forward to the fall.
Wonderful. I'm going to combine two questions. Could you talk a little bit about the future plans to develop the 2-year LLM program? And you also have someone who wrote in, Hossam Al-Yamani from UAE.
Hi.
And he said, when are we going to see a 2-year program in the Arabian Gulf?
Right. Well, the whole point is I want you guys to come here. But
That's what we want.
Here too. I mean, I'll spend as much time in Abu Dhabi as you let me. The Emirates Palace Hotel in Abu Dhabi is like one of my favorite places on the planet. So I'll go there. I'll go there anytime. So I'm in Abu Dhabi whenever you invite me. But here's something I want to talk about instead. One of my favorite things about the LLM program is that all of you are highly successful multilingual lawyers. And you know several languages and you know several legal systems. And that's what we're trying to do. We want people who are literate in different languages and different legal systems. And many of you come to the US to study the US legal system, fine. And to do it in English, fine. But our JD students, our American JD students, they would like to have this experience, I think. So what I would like all of you to help me with is to come up with short classes in different legal systems in another language, right? Both for our American JD students, but also for other LLMs who might want to learn more than, So Patricia, if you could help me put together a Brazilian law class in Portuguese. I think a lot of people would want to take that. And Anna, you and Koke could do EU law in any number of languages. Just pick one of your languages and use that, right? And we could do Islamic finance in Arabic. I think, and we have enough students in the JD and the LLM program who would be interested in doing that. You've seen all kinds of things, right? So you and Alexandra could teach a class together. And now that we know that we can do this on Zoom, we could do this on Zoom, or you could do what Wahab is going to do and come and join us as a visiting researcher for a semester, So I'm looking forward to the future of really taking advantage of the multilingualism and the multiculturalism of our alumni and bringing them back to the law school.
Another question for the alums. What is your favorite memory of either in class with Professor Hoffman or, personally of your time with him here at the Law Center? So if there are any favorite memories.
I'll go. I love the class that Craig and Albert taught together. It was a very, very fun class, and just to see the interaction between Craig and Albert was amazing, in terms of education, but also personality. When it was Craig's turn to teach, Albert would sit in the front row and just watch him as if it was the first time he was watching him teach, and vice versa. And I thought that was very special and unique. And obviously all of our fun dates around Logan Circle that we have with Craig have been great over the years.
Yeah, I'm teaching that class by myself now. Albert has, he's a judge now in the US Tax Court, and they have a court session on Friday mornings. So I'm doing it by myself now.
Well, I'm lucky that I had you both then.
Well, my favorite memories is, of course, attending the fabulous parties at Professor Hoffman's house. It is definitely a highlight in the LLM years. And like many alums has mentioned, this is a place where we met multilingual, multicultural attorneys from around the world, just sitting at the table, having a drink and exchanging ideas and thoughts. And this image is beautiful, I think, especially in today's polarized and divided world. This is something we need to remember, that we are more similar than we are different. So it is at Craig's house that we have reconnect with this idea.
for me, it's the IRAC method with a C. So I really remember that vividly. And the new associates that join my team, that's what I tell them on the first day on the job.
Well, good. I'm glad something stuck.
For me, the ties that you gifted both of us, Wahab and I,
Oh, this is it.
after we graduate.
Yeah, this is
On a
it.
very
So after Wahab and Ramzan finished their SJD dissertations, we all went to lunch, and I got ties for us. They're all the same tie in different colors. And I think that's part of what I love about Georgetown, is that we all sort of are learning the same thing, but we're doing it in our own colors. And I think that's a really important thing about Georgetown. We want everyone to be an individual and find his voice.
I honestly, Georgetown was like a life-changing experience for me. And it helped me a lot with improving my critical thinking and legal analysis. And I especially thank Professor Hoffman for all the help he did for us, like when we studied there.
Another question that came in is how to go about networking with alums. Someone wrote in that, they feel that reaching out is, they're reaching out because, they need help with something, whether it's a job opportunity or et cetera. They just don't know how to go about, starting a message or a conversation. Any advice for other alums who might be looking to network, or also current students who are interested in networking with alums?
Anyone?
Well, I think personally, I'm more than happy to answer any email, any phone call for any person who wants to apply to Georgetown, or if he has any question about the programs.
I think also Sarah has been very helpful with connecting people together. Along with Chris and Craig, but I think we're already establishing some sort of a network between the LLM and the Middle East, which also can be, another dimension could be added to that, is introducing current and prospective students to the network, and that would be, I think, helpful for everyone.
I think Georgetown really have amazing alum network. This is one of the advantages of attending a big law school, because you can find lawyers from every walk of life and who are just willing to help. Like personally, when I was moving from the East Coast, so I practiced law in New York, and I was moving mid-career to Seattle, I got back in touch with the Georgetown's alum career services, and they have been so helpful. They put me in touch with alums in Seattle, and I reach out to them individually and just asking them, can I have 10 minutes of your time? I'm interested in your practice area. I want to learn more about the legal practice in Seattle. And every single one of them responded. They are so generous with their time. They spent hours talking to me about legal practice in Seattle and what is the market like. And they take me to lunch and we had coffee. So it was great. So definitely do take advantage of that.
Yeah, I just want to add that I think you should not be afraid, and you should actually, use all of the resources Georgetown has to offer.
Yeah, one thing is, I think using the word networking is frightening. So I don't think about it that way. I just think about it, email friends. You're all LLMs, you're all friends. Just think about, here's what I want you to do after today. I want you to sit back and I want you to think, who haven't I seen? Who haven't I heard from for a while? And send that person an email and just say, how are you? I was just thinking about you. And if you do that and you keep doing that, that's networking, and stuff just happens. So you have to just kind of do it on your own. I would say, over my life, long as it's been, I have friends from every school, every job, every event I've been to. But it takes some work to keep up with people. You know, Cookie and Anna live a half a block from me, right? But we have to sort of make an effort.
You mean send like 7 different emails to schedule a meeting?
Right. There's that. There's scheduling. Right. But that's what I want you to do. So part of this whole networking thing is it can feel a little daunting because you feel like you're networking, but you're not networking. You're hanging out with friends. You know, you're just reaching out to people with whom you share a common experience. And I think all of us would be happy to respond to anyone.
Yeah, like from my side, just reach out, email us. I'll be more than happy to respond to any emails or have any phone calls, like Abdul Wahab said. And second thing is, like Georgetown attracts amazing talent. So basically, when I see CVs coming from people that studied at Georgetown Law, I would definitely prioritize these individuals. So please don't be shy. As Craig said, just send an email. Don't worry about, addressing the email to Mr. or whatever. Say, hi, Wissam, that's my position. And I'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you guys.
Great.
Someone wrote in asking, what do the LLMs bring to your teaching of U.S. legal discourse? And are there any challenges in trying to effectively communicate legal concepts, or what are the highlights?
I mean, this has been one of the greatest things. Like, I taught American JD students for many years. And, I was an American JD student. So I understand that audience, because it's me. And I could learn something from American JD students, right? But every year when I teach in the LLM program, I learn something new. And my class changes every year based on things that I learn from the students who come in. Because what we're trying to do, at least what I'm trying to do, what we're all trying to do at Georgetown, is to be a place where multilingual lawyers from different legal systems can come together and share ideas. And, on the rare occasion that someone gets to write a dissertation like Ramzan's, that's a great thing, but not everybody can do that. But in our classes, if we can all talk to each other and just share ideas, we make the world better. The world is awful in some respects now, in many respects. It's a little better now in the post-Trump era, I would say, but it's still got some problems. But at Georgetown Law, it's sort of this oasis where you can just be who you are and exchange ideas with brilliant people. And what I want this to do is to just remind you of that. And to start doing it more proactively with your alumni friends.
And someone is asking, how do you combine teaching and your sense of humor? I
have no control over that. I think part of it is, I just love what I do. I have never not liked being at Georgetown Law. And as my mother, who is 94 years old, will tell you, I don't do anything I don't want to do. And if I really do like doing something, I really like doing it. And I've just always had a good time teaching at Georgetown Law. And I'm also teaching this semester in the linguistics department. And that's been great as well. So I think what happens is I just enjoy what I do, and I think that's part of it.
I'm going to try not to butcher this one. Someone wrote in, can you explain the difference between that and which, coming from a Section 3er? How is Dory And can you talk about the relationship between the LLMs and JDs?
Hey, that's a lot. So yes, of course I know the that and which rule, because I wrote a PhD dissertation on prepositional phrases in English. I know everything there is to know about English grammar. That and which works this way. A that clause is what we call a restrictive relative clause. So if I'm looking at a parking lot full of cars, and the cars are different colors, right? And I say, John, please point to the cars that are blue. Then John will point to the cars that are blue. And it restricts the class of cars that he points to, because it is a restrictive relative clause, and you use that because it's necessary. If I say to John, there is a sea of cars, and they are all blue, and I say, John, could you point to the cars, comma, which are blue? That's a non-restrictive clause. It doesn't tell you anything new about those cars because they're all blue. So it is a non-restrictive relative clause, and those are headed by which with a comma. Okay, that's the rule. That is just the rule. Nobody applies it. I'm the only one who knows it. My mother and I, we're the only two people who know that rule. But it is the rule. I talk to some people and I say, what is your that and which rule? And they go, I use that. And then if I get tired of using that, I throw in a which. And then sometimes I don't want to have 3 that's in a row, so I'll use a which. No, there is a rule, and I just told you what the rule is. But people do whatever they want. And there was more to that question, but
how is Dory, and can you talk about the relationship between the LLM and JD students?
Yeah. So Dory has retired, and she still does some stuff with the law school, which is great, because she knows everyone in Europe. And that's a good thing for the LLM program. So we're still in touch with Dory, and that's a wonderful thing. One of the reasons that I want to get you guys involved with this idea of multilingual classes in other legal systems is to get the JDs, and the LLMs together. Now, I made the conscious decision to hang out with the LLMs. I made that decision years ago. And I don't think that was a bad decision. Now, Wissam disagrees with me because he married a JD student. But we're always trying to get LLMs and JD students to integrate, but it's such a different, it is a somewhat different culture. And it's hard to do, but we're working on it.
We have about 5 minutes, Professor Hoffman, if you want to ask any last questions of the alums.
Yeah, so you guys, I really appreciate you doing this. And I think, Sarah, if you think this has gone well, we should do it again. And I pretty much invited my friends here to join. But I think if any of you out there would like to do this, let us know. And we'd be happy to have you be in these chairs in the next round. So do you guys have anything that you'd like to say to our alums? Anybody you want to shout out to in particular who you see on the participants list? Okay, Anna?
Well, we already said hi to Lulu, but I think it would be worth mentioning that Dory Mayer is with us.
Oh, Dory is here. Hi, Dory.
Hi, Dory.
Dory, can you come on and actually say hello?
Trying to make that.
Maybe.
I also want to say hi to Anne-Marie Whitehall that I saw on the list.
Well, while we're waiting for Dory to do that, there's Dory.
Hey.
Okay, it takes a while. I tell you, the Zoom stuff is not easy. And while we're waiting for Dory, anybody else? Wissam, anything you want to say to anyone? Patricia?
For me, I just want to repeat to everyone who's listening and finishing studies at Georgetown, please don't be shy, reach out, and we'll be more than happy to assist and support you in your quest for jobs, especially in these difficult times. So please do reach out.
Same here. Anna works at ICSID. I work at Clifford Chance. If you want, just I won't tell you we can have a coffee right now, but we can have a virtual coffee. I will always say yes to that, and I would try to help you as much as I can. Wissam said we try to. He always tries to look with better eyes Georgetown alumni. I do the same. Actually, my my current associate and my former associate were both Georgetown LLMs. And I look forward to keep hiring people from Georgetown Law.
Good.
Yeah, I just want to add that, give a shout out to Professor Hoffman again. He's been such a great advocate for us multilingual, multicultural lawyers in the legal profession, and especially at Georgetown community. And Georgetown, especially during these unusual times in the pandemic, to me, is not only a physical place, we cannot return to at this point, but it's more about people. It's a sense of global community. So wherever there's a Georgetown graduate, there is Georgetown.
Right. Yeah, and also, I really want you to think about getting in touch with people you used to hang out with. And, like Albert and I take this house in Sicily. We've done it 4 or 5 times. And LLM alums have been. Luciano, if you're out there, Luciano from Brazil. He and Graco came to Sicily. Mauricio Morato and Marcio, they came to Italy. So, think about, we're taking the house in 2022. So if any of you happens to be in Sicily in June, right? The reason I invited these people here, and any of you could have done this, is I want you to see that you are international citizens of the world. You are no longer residents of your own countries. You are now part of this international multilingual group, and you are the future of the world. I'm on my way out, but you are the future of the world, and you need to keep in touch with each other and help each other through this. So that would be my suggestion at the end.
Well, I would like to thank you, Professor Hoffman, for taking the time today to chat with all of us, and also all of the alums. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Thank you to our audience and everyone for joining us and your engagements. There are a lot of hellos in the chat box, and I'm happy to share with you all. And again, we hope you enjoyed today's programming. It will be posted to our 150th website. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, guys. See you soon. Wissam, it's great to see you.
same here. Bye.
Great to see everyone.